Pushy Broad from the Bronx, New York. Follow her voice, a straight talk is nice. She's a pushy broad from the Bronx, oh yeah. Don't be surprised if you wanna listen twice. Make decisions, find the right choice. Know yourself better, find your own voice. It's okay if you need help today, cause everybody needs a little push. From the pushy broad from the Bronx, New York.
Welcome, Transformation Talk Network listeners. My name is Ellen Stewart, and I am the Pushy Broad from the Bronx. Welcome to my show, Recovery Recharged, where we share advice and support from experts in addiction and recovery. Once a month, I come to you with something called Straight Talk from the Pushy Broad, where I give you coaching like only the Pushy Broad can, and also give you the opportunity to ask me questions live on the air and get expert advice from a cheerleader and a drill sergeant, which I am, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx. So if you have a question about today's topic, which is codependence and enabling, please call 800-930-2819. And our producers are standing by to field your questions. They will be anonymous, so you will be able to ask a question anytime you like during the next 30 minutes. So today's show talks about where help ends and enabling begins. I'm going to address what it's like to decide the difference between supporting somebody and caring about somebody and enabling them. There is a big difference between caring for someone and caretaking them, especially when it comes to somebody that you are looking at who is active in their addiction. You're trying desperately to help them. And the only thing you seem to be doing is stressing yourself out and maybe even making situations worse. So we have many people that have called in. My producer, Jessica, is standing by with some great questions. Let me take them one at a time. Jessica, good morning. What do you have for me?
Good morning. We'll take the first one. It's Emma from Toronto. What are some early warning signs of codependence in a relationship, and how can I identify if I'm falling into those patterns?
Okay, so first of all, codependence is slightly different from enabling, but codependence is when you feel that your day depends upon the actions and emotions and feelings of others. How many parents say to themselves, I'll be okay if my child is okay. I'll feel good if my child is good. Or how many partners go out of their way and lose themselves in a relationships. So some of the early warning signs of codependence, Emma, is when you find there's a lack of boundaries, when you really want to say no, but you say yes anyway, when you are prioritizing another person's needs over your own consistently, when you have an emotional dependence on that relationship for validation. You have to recognize these patterns, Emma. That's the first step. Start by practicing self-awareness, by reflecting on your actions and feelings, and to discern whether they're driven by your own personal needs or in an attempt to manage the relationship. Jessica, what else do you have?
All right, we've got John from Seattle. How can enabling behavior disguise itself as helping? And what steps can I take to ensure I'm supporting someone without enabling?
It's very easy to blur those lines, John, because you get confused as well as everybody else around you. Enabling behavior looks like helping, but it prevents growth. It prevents the growth of the person you're trying to help, and it prevents your growth too. because part of you is consistently covering up for someone else's mistakes. You don't allow them to do things on their own. The biggest difference between enabling and helping is support to allow someone to make their own decisions and to do things for themselves. Enabling is doing things for another person, coming in there and saying, I'm going to fix this, instead of I'm going to help support you fix this. Okay? Thanks for the question, John. That was a good one. Jessica, next question.
Okay, so we've got a two-parter that came in through the live chat. So bear with me.
Okay.
I have two questions, actually. This is anonymous. My dad has a gambling problem. We've not talked about it with him, but my mom and I both know about it. I have a lingering fear that someday he will come to me and ask for money, and I don't know how I'm going to handle that. And then part two of this is I also don't know how to talk about or avoid conversations about money in general.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try to answer it. First of all, the most important thing is, thanks for the question. Please call in. Don't be afraid. 800-930-2819. I'll answer your questions on the air. Gambling is an addiction. That's the first thing. It's not only an active addict or an alcoholic. It is gambling, it is sex addiction, it is porn addiction, it is eating disorder, all of the things that an addict does compulsively and helps to really take down their lives. When you are sensing that somebody has a problem, and we all know what that looks like, there are many things that can be done. You can do an intervention. You can also call the Pushy Broad. You can call me. You can by going to pushybroadfromthebronx.com, setting up a free 20-minute consultation, and we can talk about all those options. But first and foremost, there should be no secrets in families. Nobody skirts around, walks on eggshells, and decides we're not going to talk about it. Always confront the issue. Sit down with the family, sit down with the person, and say, we are concerned about the problem that you have. The second part of this is what you can do to make sure that you are not enabling or codependent around it, which means you cannot pay his bills. You cannot make sure that he has money for the things that he needs because he's gambling the rest of it away. And you have to hold on to your boundaries and say, no, I don't have anything to give you, or it's not possible for me to help you in this way. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care if you say, I'm sorry, I don't have it. I don't care if you say, this is not what I'm going to do for you. I don't care if you turn around and say, I don't want to enable you, or I don't want to make matters worse. However, you can stand your ground and say, no, I am not helping you with this addiction you have, will not only benefit him, but will immensely benefit you. And again, more questions, more in-depth situations, pushybroadfromthebronx.com, especially now when you have some more time over the summer. Consultations are available for free. Jessica, what else have we got?
Next question is from Lucy. How do you break free from the guilt and obligation that you feel that's driving the codependent tendencies?
Lucy, that's a really good question. Sometimes, when we say no to the people that we really love and we really care about, we worry that something terrible is going to happen to them. One of the major reasons why we don't want to say no is that we're afraid if we say no, that something awful is going to happen. And you know what? We can't guarantee that that isn't the case. But then we'll really know what we have to do going forward. The way we try to eliminate our guilt around this is to work on our own self-esteem and our own feelings of self-worth and character. And to recognize what I always say, that when you have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can put it on someone else, you have to recognize your own needs, your own boundaries. Those things are healthy. Those things keep you healthy. The Pushy Broad from the Bronx does a lot of counseling on codependence and enabling. And like I said, if you need more work, come find me. I'm available to you. Jessica, next question.
Next question is from Mark. What role does childhood upbringing play in shaping these behaviors, and how can we unlearn those patterns as adults?
Mark, lots and lots and lots of work that certainly can't be answered in just a couple of sentences on the air, but basically, this is the outline of how it goes. Yes, many codependent and enabling behaviors stem from the dynamics you learned in childhood, possibly in a household where emotional needs were not met, or possibly in a household where it was overstimulated. I came from a household where everything was wanting to be done for me, the overcompensation, parents going overboard. And we call those today helicopter parenting. Those things also stem from the fact that what we have learned as children, we now repeat as adults. Therapy and coaching can be very helpful in unlearning these patterns by addressing childhood, by addressing possible past trauma, and learning to reshape and reframe brand new behaviors. So if you have a question this morning, please call in. Everybody's calling in. We will get to you, I promise. 800-930-2819. My producers are standing by. Jessica, what else have you got?
Okay, I've got another one that came from the chat. Is my friend, who doesn't live in the same place as me, has clearly been reaching out for help, I assume. She keeps texting pictures of her doing drugs, and we know she's headed down a bad path. What am I supposed to do? Do I just ignore, or do I address it? How do I not enable her, but without breaking off the friendship?
Okay. If you're getting the texts that have you know that your friend or a loved one is in danger, the last thing you should be doing is ignoring it. But there are ways to go about helping someone without taking yourself down in the process. So let me be very clear. One can help without going over the cliff with your friend, meaning I need you to tell that friend's family and friends. There are no secrets in active addiction because sometimes it's the difference between life and death. So if you know anybody that knows that person, a husband, a wife, a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a mother, a father, a child related to that person, I need you to get the family involved. This is a cry for help. You must answer that cry. You can also text them the Pushy Broad from the Bronx website. You can certainly do that. There's a link to my website for a free 20-minute consultation. I will help them get the help that they need. There are always answers. Do not abandon the cry for help. Jessica, next question.
Next question is from Tina. Is it possible to recover from codependency while remaining in a relationship, or does breaking free require separation?
That's a really good question. First of all, it really depends upon you, Tina. If you find that you are committed to making changes and that your partner's committed to making changes, which involves setting good, healthy boundaries, developing a more independent life and with your partner, then I think it's certainly possible. And please understand out there, sometimes it's not because your partner has an addiction problem. Codependence is also an addiction. Let me make that perfectly clear. If you are codependent, where you decide that the feelings and emotions of others are directly concerned with yours, if you can't begin to really know what you want as opposed to what your partner wants, then I call this relationship addiction, which means that sometimes you have to work on you before you can go back and have a partner. So if you're able to do that simultaneously with your partner in the picture and they're able to do the same, then yes, it's always worth it coming from a position of working with your existing relationship. But if you find that your existing relationship is toxic and you still can't set your boundaries, then sometimes a temporary or even a permanent situation might be necessary to break the cycle of codependency. The choice is yours, and I will help you find the way. Next question, Jessica.
This one is from Kyle. How do I communicate healthy boundaries now when in the past I've been enabling them?
Okay. Well, at least, Kyle, you seem to be learning from past mistakes, and you can begin to discern what healthy boundaries are. It's kind of strange because sometimes when we are codependent, we can feel what that's like. We can feel that there's a heavy weight, like a coat on us. Like we really want to do something else, but we think someone will love us more, or we need to help them more, or by saying no to somebody, we think that person won't care about us anymore, or that person will leave us. That all has to do with our own self esteem and our own security. Knowing that if you know who you are and begin to love who you are, then the person around you will see that and love you for it. So start slowly, even by saying, before I had problems in expressing how I feel, and I always felt that maybe I did more of what my partner wanted than what I wanted. So can we talk a little bit more? Can we talk about our needs so that I feel that it's mutual and that my voice is being heard? Start slowly, but communicate, communicate, communicate. Jessica, what else have you got?
From Rachel. Are there specific tools or exercises you recommend for building independence and self worth while recovering from codependency?
There are so many things. First, please go to pushybroadfromthebronx.com. I give a free 20-minute consultation, and then we'll see if you need more work from me. There are many, many tools and exercises that I will help you do. Journaling, writing your feelings down, mindfulness exercises. One of the big mindfulness exercise I use with my clients is to simply say, wherever your feet are, that's where your brain has to be. So, wherever you are in the world today, look down at your feet and tell yourself, I am living in today, in the present. For some of us, it's June 25. For some of us, it's June 26, if you're down under. And by that, I mean focus on where your feet is, ground yourself into today. That's another way to keep yourself from thinking that I am going to worry about what's happening to somebody else. And also to cultivate who you are. Independent hobbies. Take up something. This is the summer. Go swimming, get outdoors. Distraction is a really good way of taking your mind off another person and focusing in the present. Decide on therapy. Decide on working with the Pushy Broad. There are ways to change the negative patterns associated with codependency. If you have a question today, call in. We've still got some time. 800-930-2819. Jessica, what else?
This one's from David. What's the difference between compassion and enabling, and how do I practice one without slipping into the other?
Very fine lines, right? Very fine lines. Compassion is empathizing and supporting others emotionally without removing the natural consequences of their actions. You cannot fix things. You know what it's like when you're fixing something. To avoid slipping into enabling, offer emotional support, sometimes just be a sounding board, offer solutions that encourage them to take responsibility, to make changes, and responsibility for their own outcomes. Their actions have consequences, just like your actions have consequences. That's the difference. Support caring, but not caretaking. Okay, Jessica, we have time for a couple more.
This one's from Sophia. How do I manage my fear of losing the relationship when stopping enabling someone's unhealthy behaviors?
If you are concerned about losing a relationship, then you have to ask yourself why you're concerned. Are you concerned because you're afraid to be alone? Are you concerned because you're lonely? Are you concerned because you think you'll never find another person like this again? Are you concerned because the dating pool is slim out there and you went through so much trouble to find this one, it's going to take you so much more work and trouble to find the next one? Are you concerned because your life revolves around your relationships? Are you concerned because you've reached a certain age and you think, I'll never find another person again? If any of those reasons apply to you, then I need you to understand that your concern is not based on healthy behaviors, but insecure behaviors, which means the work is with you. The work is, can I feel confident? Can I feel that I am worthy of love? And can I feel that I love myself enough to know that no matter what happens in life, I am going to be okay? Relationships are built on healthy dynamics, and those dynamics will endure changes no matter what. No matter what. If you are afraid of losing a relationship, then you can communicate openly about those fears and needs. If the relationship changes or ends due to your setting boundaries, then it might be time to see that the relationship needs a reevaluation for mutual health and sustainability. So, Sophia, look inward first and make sure you keep communicating. Okay, Jessica, we have time for one more.
Okay, this one is can codependence be mutual in a relationship? For example, both parties are enabling each other's unhealthy behaviors. How do we recover as a team?
Well, one of those ways is to do some couples work with the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, pushybroadfromthebronx.com. I will help these couples move together. It's wonderful that you want to make this a team effort. That already gives you hope for the future. Talking more, making sure that each of you hears the other. There are so many different behavioral techniques to make sure that you understand what you really want and you understand what your partner is truly saying. It is very possible to cultivate a healthy relationship. There is no way that you will miss what codependence and enabling has done to your relationship. When you begin to understand that you can set boundaries that are mutually consistent with both of your needs, you will find your way to the best relationship you have ever had. Okay, everybody? One more time. Straight Talk with the Pushy Broad every single month. Bring me your questions. We have wonderful topics for you here for help and energy. Pushybroadfromthebronx.com. Thank you so much for your questions today. I really appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
This is Ellen Stewart, the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, saying thanks for listening, and remember, everybody needs a little push.
From the Pushy Broad from the Bronx, New York.